Voltrons, welcome inside the vault. It is Wednesday, May 7th. We're here for a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. I'm Bobby Trossett. She's Sarah Ellison. So good to be back with you guys. We've got a jam-packed show coming up over the next hour or so on your way in. If you could like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and also go to the community tab because we have a post that's available right now for feedback. It's on our new Vault merch line that we're working on, hopefully rolling out here in the coming weeks, coming months as we get ready for this upcoming football season. We want you to be heard. So share your feedback. Go to the community posts on YouTube. If you're in the audio-only audience, we would love for you to participate over there as well. Well, more AFC North shuffling, Sarah. There's been a lot that's happened and taken place this offseason in this division. And for the Ravens, based on this morning's news, it's another win. It is another win. We'll tell you what we mean by that coming up in just a bit. At 12:30, we will have an exclusive interview with Danny Gonzales, who is the Arizona football defensive coordinator. Last year, he served as the special teams coach, and that means he coached Tyler Loop, who is now going to succeed or attempt to succeed Justin Tucker after he was released earlier this week. We look forward to hearing his perspective on one of the biggest, if not the biggest legs in this year's draft class at kicker. We'll also rank the wide receiver rooms now as they are currently constructed in the AFC North because, Sarah, George Pickens is on his way out of the division. The Dallas Cowboys made it official earlier this morning. They have agreed to terms with the former Pittsburgh Steeler and a 2026 sixth rounder. They're acquiring Pickens and a 2026 sixth from Pittsburgh in exchange for a 2026 third rounder and a 2027 fifth rounder. Your reaction as this came out early this morning, all the insiders were peppering X, and now a Ravens killer over the last couple seasons is on his way out of the division.
Yeah, my reaction was, peace out, Pickens. It was like he has done damage to the Ravens in the past, the secondary, and he and Marlon Humphrey have gone back and forth several times in good competition. So, I'm not going to complain when talent leaves the AFC North, especially when the Ravens' pass defense was one of the worst last year until they started to figure things out down the stretch. Now, sometimes, having Pickens around is good. You could twist it around and say, well, maybe he would have been good in Pittsburgh because sometimes he was not, the greatest teammate. I remember back when Tomlin said after he had two unsportsmanlike conduct penalties when they were playing the Bengals, he's gotten to a scuffle when he was playing the Browns with Newsome over there. And Mike Tomlin said he needs to grow up, but he needs to grow up in a hurry. And so in some ways, that was hard on Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh knows how to manage that. And he has played well against the Ravens. And so to me, that really wasn't affecting things when they played Baltimore. So peace out, Pickens. It helps because they have Metcalf over there. We didn't need the two of them. We don't quite know who their quarterback is going to be yet. No, not really sure about that, but we do know that Pickens will be gone.
It felt like, and we had Brooke Pryor on within the last couple of weeks, and it had slowed down, right? A lot of the smoke around Pickens. There was definitely some of it was reported throughout draft weekend, entering draft weekend, that they were actively shopping him. Those were some reports that were out there. We talked to Brooke Pryor about it, and it had quieted down a little bit. Well, as we've seen in the past, sometimes things can get ramped back up post-draft, and that's exactly what happened here. And it did feel like the writing was on the wall when they paid, and I mean paid, DK Metcalf, which was uncharacteristic for the Steelers organization to go outside of a homegrown player and bring him in for that kind of contract extension, that kind of money that DK Metcalf warranted coming off of his time with the Seattle Seahawks. So now Pickens leaves the division, and that means a lot of things, honestly, Sarah. Look at the numbers in terms of what he's done over 3 seasons against the Ravens. First of all, he's hit the 1,000-yard mark once. That was in his sophomore season, his second year in the NFL at over 1,100. Prior to that, he hit 801 receiving yards in his rookie year and 900 this past season in just 14 games. He was banged up. I can remember that around one of the games that the Ravens were playing. Matter of fact, I think he's actually missed at least one game against the Ravens, if memory serves, from a season ago. But Sarah, over 5 that he has played against Baltimore, he's had his way. 19 receptions on 29 targets, 326 receiving yards, and a touchdown, 17.2 yards per reception. He's been a problem. He's been a problem for Marlon Humphrey. He was a problem for Brandon Stevens. He's been a problem for this secondary. And so I think while they're getting an absolute specimen in DK Metcalf, who is a force in his own right, and the Ravens are going to have to figure out how to deal with him. Right? It may take more than one player to deal with him. But this is somebody that has absolutely had his way, and the fact that they don't have to see him twice a season, it feels like somewhat of a win here in the offseason.
Well, you talk about when the Steelers traded for DK Metcalf, to me, it was a signal that this is where they were headed. I just didn't know if it was going to happen before this season or after this season. It reminded me quite a bit of when the Ravens traded a second-round pick for Roquan Smith. And we knew what that signaled. We knew what that meant. It meant that Patrick Queen would be leaving Baltimore because Patrick Queen watched what could have been his future contract be given out to a guy that was not drafted by the team. Now, in Patrick Queen's case, they kept him for his final season on his rookie contract. But in this case with George Pickens, they went ahead and said, we're not even waiting, and it might stem back to those very public comments where Mike Tomlin said he needs to grow up. You know that if Mike Tomlin says that publicly, then there's probably a lot more brewing underneath behind the scenes and what we're not seeing. And it's interesting to me that Jeremy Fowler had reported that with this trade, which it was basically a third rounder, right, Bobby? Can you back up? It was what?
Yeah, it was. So Dallas acquired a 6th rounder and Pickens. Steelers got 3rd rounder in 26 and a 5th rounder in 27.
Okay, so he was originally a 2nd rounder. They're getting close-ish to there. I mean, it also depends on where Dallas will be choosing, if it's at the back of the 3rd round or the beginning. So they lost some value there in terms of like what they originally got him for in the 2nd round, but they also had 3 years of service. So it feels like a pretty decent trade. But where I was headed with this is Pittsburgh didn't keep him in his 4th and final year of his contract with DK Metcalf to make them a duo the way they made Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen a duo. And on top of that, Jeremy Fowler reported that they're not signing him to an extension right now. So they're giving up a 3rd rounder for potentially 1 year of work. And I think if we're talking football-wise, this is great for the Dallas Cowboys to pair him with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is a bona fide number 1 wide receiver. And so it sounds like they have a little bit of a wait-and-see kind of period to see just exactly how he'll fit in. Again, on the football field, it looks like a great fit. Whether it's what that is inside the locker room, they're going to wait. Plus, Dallas always seems to wait on signing their people. It always seems like they're a little bit, a couple months to a year late in signing their people. So maybe they're just doing what they always do. But they may also want to get a look to see how everything feels in the locker room.
Yeah, so in other words, if he balls out and it's a good fit, then they have somebody to pair with CeeDee Lamb for the foreseeable future. If it doesn't work out, there's just very limited risk on Dallas' side, right? They're going to get a comp pick because he'll leave in free agency Pickens. Somebody else will grab him. So seems like there's a lot of, low risk, very high reward when it comes to this player, especially with what they already have at the wide receiver position. The 33rd team totaled up some other analytical numbers. By the way, Bateman finds himself on this list. Every wide receiver to average 3.0 plus, so 3 or more yards per route run from the slot last season. Pickens was on this list at just over 3. Rashad Bateman was just over 3.3. Puka Nacua, Brian Thomas Jr. with a minimum of 200 total routes. This is the top 4 right here from the 33rd team. And since 2022, which again, you just mentioned Pickens was a 2nd rounder coming out of Georgia that year for Pittsburgh. He's one of 44 players league-wide with 2,000 plus receiving yards. So he can be a little bit of a headache. You alluded to it a little bit earlier on. Some of the locker room stuff, some of the antics, some of the sideline stuff, some of the lack of emotional intelligence. I can remember who did he take by the literal face mask and throw to the ground towards the end of a game recently. It was within the last couple of years, and it was just I'm forgetting his name at the moment, but he used to be a Dallas Cowboy, and he tweeted out something hilarious earlier today because he ended up going to Jacksonville. And this player, whose name escapes me right now, quote tweeted the news, Sarah, and was like, "Oh yeah, no, God had plans for me in Jacksonville." Jordan Lewis, thank you, Cameron.
Jordan Lewis, okay.
Cameron's got me, Sarah. He quote tweeted it today, and he was on the opposite, obviously on the opposite end of this heinous act, really, right? It was kind of vicious to watch it. And Jordan quote tweeted Schefter today and was like, "Oh yeah, God had plans for me in Jacksonville."
Oh, they can play each other all the more. And speaking of, defensive backs reactions, Marlon Humphrey doing a little trolling after the news comes out. And he says, wait. Has anyone checked in on at Pickensburg, which is a Twitter account that obviously comes from Pittsburgh and was dedicated to George Pickens. And that account likes to troll people too. And I'm sure they've trolled Marlon Humphrey. And so what becomes of Pickensburg? Does it become Pickens Dallas? Do they just like, what do you do? What do you do? And so Marlon Humphrey, I don't think is losing any sleep over this trade.
No. And by the way,
yeah,
you kind of suggested that maybe he'd been trolled over the years.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I don't know why memory serves me on this one, but I feel like every Marlon tweet that has something related to football, he gets absolutely trolled to no end by at Pickensburg. Yeah. So I'd have to think this is a pretty satisfying day for one Marlon Humphrey, which is why he took a little victory lap here with this tweet. And by the way, when you go to Pickensburg and his profile, I think maybe his profile, apparently it's deceased. In the bio, it says 21 to 25 fan account. Thank you, fans. He's got his dates up there of life.
I'm glad you looked it up because that's what I said. I was like, does it become Pickens Dallas, Pickens boys? Like I didn't know. So it's dead. It's gone.
Look at my man. He's deceased.
Yeah.
He's deceased himself, matter of fact, as our Brooke Pryor, friend of the show, currently on my ESPN screen right now. So love to see her getting some national limelight. But
hold on, that's got 48.1 thousand followers. This person's just got to figure out a new shtick. You can't get rid of 48.1.
This is absolutely hysterical, right? You have to you just have to take the lumps. And by the way, I'm just seeing the highlight right now of what Pickens did to Jordan Lewis. They're replaying it on ESPN. That was insane. He barely even yanked that face mask, and he was able to bring down Lewis almost effortlessly. But yeah, wouldn't you have to think that you just kind of take your lumps and transition to a life in Dallas?
or just come up with a new player thing they look like they're from Pittsburgh. Like they're clearly a Pittsburgh Steelers fan account, not a Pickens account.
Right.
So I don't know. They just got to latch on to what they could do an Aaron Rodgers account. Who knows? I don't know if you want to hitch your account to that wagon, but we'll do what you got to do. So, I definitely think Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, all of them are like, peace. We're good.
So, Sarah, I think this now leads us to like, okay, well, what does Pittsburgh have left in the wide receiver room outside of DK Metcalf, who of course was acquired this offseason, and he in himself is a one and more with what he's proven to be in this league. Here is what their wide receiver room looks like as of right now, outside of DK. Calvin Austin III, Robert Woods, right? A couple veterans there. Roman Wilson. He was one of their, was he last year's rookie? I want to say. I'd have to look that up. I think he was picked in 24 or 23. Still a very young player. They still feel like, I actually saw Daniel Jeremiah tweet about this a short while ago. He still feels confident that he can carve out a significant role for them, but it just hasn't happened yet. Scotty Miller, Ben Skoranek, Brandon Johnson, Lance McCutcheon, some guys at the latter half of that list that probably aren't going to be on the 53-man roster. So look, first of all, outside of DK, This is not a room that scares me, Sarah. It's not a room that scares me. We'll get into our rankings here in just a second when it comes to, the in-division side of things. But outside of DK, and again, he is no slouch, obviously. He will bring a new element of explosiveness to their offense. I don't know who's going to be throwing to him, but he will bring it for whoever it is. But outside of them, they got a lot more questions than they do answers.
Absolutely. This is one of those wide receiver rooms, and we're not taking into account the tight ends room, which they have Pat Freiermuth, who has done his damage. But if we're talking specifically about the wide receiver room, this is Zach Orr can get together with all of his assistant coaches and come up with a game plan that says, make anybody but DK Metcalf beat us, right? That's all they have to do. They'll try to get after the quarterback, whoever that quarterback is, put some pressure on him, this and that. But when it comes to the wide receiver room, make Calvin Austin III beat us. Calvin Austin III, he had 548 yards last year, 4 touchdowns. No slouch, but not somebody that's scaring you. Not somebody who you feel like you need to double team. Not somebody who you need to put a game plan around. So that kind of brings us, Bobby, looking at this wide receiver room for the Steelers. I thought it'd be fun for us to rank the AFC North wide receiver rooms. Now, I've got some screen grabs that'll be coming up that mostly comes from ESPN Fantasy because they did these rankings just 6 days ago.
Okay.
And 6 days ago, they had the Pittsburgh Steelers ranked pretty high and above the Baltimore Ravens. So I think we can start here. Tell me if I'm wrong, we could pretty easily say who the best and worst wide receiver rooms are in the division. I think the bookends are easy. Cincinnati Bengals, they're number 1 in the division. Some might say they're number 1 in the entire NFL. ESPN, their fantasy football kind of department, had them as number 4 overall in the entire NFL. But when you've got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and I know you say his name better than me, Andre Yoshivas, okay? Then they got Jermaine Burton and Charlie Jones after that. But that top 3 is nasty. It's the opposite of what I just said with the Steelers, where it's like just focus on stopping one guy, which is DK Metcalf. And by the way, DK Metcalf is no Jamar Chase either. It'd be one thing if it was Jamar Chase over there with the rest of that wide receiver group. And I do like DK Metcalf, and I would have liked him in Baltimore, but he is no Jamar Chase. And Austin is no T. Higgins, and then they have nobody to control or to even compare with Andre. So easily number 1, correct?
Oh, no doubt. Okay. Matter of fact, I think this is as clear as day.
Yes.
This meaning the rankings. What I have in my mind right now, I think it's clear as day.
Don't jump ahead. Hold on.
I'm not doing it, but both things are clear as day. Cincy is clearly number 1. And I think my rankings and maybe yours, we'll see if we're lockstep on this. I think it's a non-negotiable. So it'll be good. Be a good little learning moment.
Yeah. Okay. Browns easily number 4, right?
No doubt.
Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, Deontay Johnson, who they just signed, is their number 3. Michael Woods the 2nd, and Jamari Thrash. Okay. Again, not a wide receiver group that is striking fear into you. And just like we talked with the Steelers, we don't know who their quarterback's going to be, but they have a different issue than Pittsburgh has. And that's that the Browns might have more quarterbacks than they have wide receivers. And so, guys that could start between Deshaun Watson probably won't be it, but you've got Joe Flacco, you've got Kenny Pickett, you've got their 2 draft picks and Shedeur Sanders, and their 3rd rounder, whose name is escaping me.
Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel, thank you very much. So easily the first and worst groups in the AFC North.
I totally agree. Let's give Jerry Jeudy a little bit more love, though. He's coming off a heck of a season, over 1,200 plus receiving yards. He's a problem. He is a number 1 for them. But again, to me, it's as clear as day, 1 and 4. And now it's just, let's see who's in the middle. Okay.
So prior to George Pickens being traded, I for sure would have had this Pittsburgh Steelers as number 2 behind the Cincinnati Bengals. But with Pickens out, we just said it, DK Metcalf, Alvin Austin, and Robert Woods. The Ravens, sorry, I've got a screen grab here that has some non-wide receivers in here, but you've got Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins. Then behind them, we're looking at Des Walker, and we're looking at why is his name escaping me right now?
Did you say Tylen yet?
Tylen Wallace. There you go. Tylen Wallace. Okay. And now they just added Wester, who is more of a returner, but Wester's the new rookie. Okay. To me, I feel like the Ravens as a group have now overcome the Steelers and become the second best wide receiver group in the division. Because like I said, I just don't know. I just don't think that you can say stop one person and the rest don't matter. I think Rashad Bateman's better than Calvin Austin. Zay Flowers obviously completely different from DK Metcalf, but Zay Flowers was more productive and last year. And you have a quarterback and that has chemistry with his wide receiver core. So I put the Ravens wide receiver room now number 2 in the AFC North. Do you agree?
You and I are in agreement across the board here when it comes to the wide receiver rooms in division. Cincinnati 1, Baltimore's just leapfrogged Pittsburgh due to George Pickens departing at 2. Steelers are still 3. There's some live chatter right now going on that feels like Cleveland should be 3, Pittsburgh 4. I'm not going that far. To me, it's a conversation. How do you view those two teams in their respective ones? And I view DK Metcalf on another level of explosiveness, on another level of just he will keep you up at night. And while Jerry Jeudy has his own level of explosiveness, and again, he's coming off a career season for Cleveland, I got to give it to Pittsburgh. I think it's Baltimore. It goes Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland.
All right, we're on the same page.
Yeah. Should we get to some super chats?
Couple super chats, and I think we've got a guest in the waiting room.
Matter of fact,
should we do that first?
I was going to say, let's push the super chats.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys for being with us on this Wednesday. We are pleased to now bring in our featured guest. And as we all learned earlier this week, this guest is going to have a lot to say about the potential future at kicker in Baltimore because he coached them last year at Arizona. It's Danny Gonzales, who was just recently promoted to being the defensive coordinator at Arizona football. Prior to that, stops around the country, including the head coach of New Mexico football. And that is, again, Danny Gonzales, who worked closely last year with Tyler Loop, who was drafted in the 6th round last month by the Ravens, and he will now succeed Justin Tucker. Coach, we know it's a crazy time when it comes to the NIL world, the transfer portal world. So needless to say, we appreciate you for carving out some time today. And we got to learn because you have spoken so glowingly of Tyler Loop that we just had to get you to hear from you ourselves.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys having me on. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm actually out at a recruiting event right now with a bunch of high school kids. So I just kind of stopped up to the top of the bleachers to chat with you guys for a bit. But I can't say enough good things about Tyler Loop. And it starts with who he is as a person. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens are getting a great representative, a great person. I mean, faith is the number one thing in his life. He's been an instrumental leader of our football team in that area. And then the tools that he has kicking the football, it's the most powerful thing I've seen in my 28 years of doing this. I mean, you saw the video that they posted from one of our pregame warm-ups about him hitting a 75-yard field goal. I mean, that was routine in practice, which is crazy. We'd get to the 50-yard line, and I'd tell Coach B, hey, we're in field goal range, as stupid as that sounds. But we had the faith and confidence in Tyler that if we got in that area, we were willing to let him. And, I mean, I think he hit a 62-yarder this year. That would have been good from 75. It was no problem whatsoever.
That's great to hear, Coach. And again, my name is Sarah. Thank you for joining us. You talk about his tools and his leg strength. Obviously, being out here in the AFC North, where there's a lot of winter weather, fans will sometimes think, well, he's coming from Arizona. Do you feel like that powerful leg and what he's done at Arizona can transfer to some cold winter weather games?
Oh, there's no doubt. He's done it in Utah. Last year, we played down in Central Florida, which obviously is not cold. But it was like a friggin' hurricane down there while we were playing. And the things that he did with the ball in that wind was truly amazing. He's a perfectionist at his craft, and he puts himself in different situations to make that whatever situation arises during a game. We did some stuff in practice, which is nowhere near what it is in a game to try and simulate the pressures of making kicks. And there was really nothing that we could do in practice that could rattle him. I mean, I'd be standing right there in his ear hole trying to yell at him. Didn't matter. he was just nails in those situations. So I have all the confidence in the world that he's going to go to Baltimore. And it was funny as we were going through all these situations of where he could possibly end up. I told him, you need to end up in a cold weather place, man. You've been too soft weather your whole life. You need to go out there and experience some conditions that are less than favorable and just go prove to everybody that you have a chance to be the best there's ever been at this.
Those West Coast boys, right?
There's no doubt. It gets soft. It's crazy. Got to experience some of that.
Oh, we are joined by Danny Gonzales right now, the defensive coordinator for Arizona football, who had the pleasure of coaching Tyler Loop, who was, of course, one of the Ravens rookies. And, Coach, as you might remember, Justin Tucker was brought in as an undrafted rookie out of Texas in 2012 by Jerry Rosberg here in Baltimore. They went on to, of course, win the Super Bowl during his rookie season. This fan base is hungry for another one around here. I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know up here in Baltimore. But I guess when you think about the mental fortitude that it took for a rookie like Justin Tucker to be such an impact for them, a positive one at that, his rookie season, what gives you confidence that Tyler has what it takes between the ears to potentially do the same thing coming up in year one?
Well, I agree with you. Baltimore is hungry. I mean, Marvin Lewis, who's one of my mentors, he put together what I think is one of the best defense, if not the best defense ever in the 2000 Ravens. So they are ready for another one. Tyler's the thing that he did this year, where we put him in some situations where it wasn't favorable for him. He had a true freshman holder and a deep snapper that came in August, and he was 18 of 23 this year. I think he missed one on his own. The other four were either a bad snap, a bad hold. I mean, ball flat on the ground. Tyler still went through his progression and kicked it. And the leadership that he displayed on the sideline after those moments, for a guy that had the opportunity to have the all-time field goal kicking percentage in the history of NCAA kicking, opportunity at the Lou Groza Award, and it was out of his control for the things that happened that changed that. And for him not to lose his mind on those guys and to really coach them up on the sideline. I mean, he had to calm me down a few times, and I'm pretty passive on the sideline, but knowing what he had at stake and all the things that he had and the goals he had worked his tail off to get, he never lost focus of what he was doing. And if you can overcome something like that, when you have a chance to set the history mark and it gets screwed up because it's not your fault, and you deal with it like it's no big deal. I mean, that was unbelievable to me. And I just have the utmost respect for Tyler and what he was able to do in those moments. They're getting a steal. I know it's a 6th-round pick. He was worthy of being drafted earlier for what I think he's going to bring to the organization.
I'm so glad you said that. My next question was going to be, I had read that his 83.3 field goal rate, which is a good rate, but I had heard that some of those missed field goals were not his fault. So thank you for that context on that and letting us know. You said that he had a lot of tools at his disposal. We hear a lot about the big leg. Can you talk more about the tools that he's bringing? Maybe get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of what he brings as a kicker?
Well, the other thing, it's wild. I mean, I tried to convince Tyler to run the 40 at the combine. He would have easily hit 4.4 something. So they're going to have some opportunities to do some things. I mean, he was a great soccer player growing up. He's a tremendous athlete, and he's got that mindset. I mean, he's a extreme competitor, which is fun. Now, he's going to be able to be the backup punter and be nearly as good as the starter. I mean, he punted in one game for us last year by necessity when Michael got hurt. And then the mental capacity that he trains with. I mean, it's one of those things that Randy's going to have to protect Tyler from Tyler, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But he will take all the steps to do all the recovery, all those things to give himself the best chance to be the most successful he can. And then the opportunities come up, he's got to perform, and he knows that, which is probably the greatest attribute of Tyler is he doesn't care what you put in front of him. He's going to go out there and compete and win. I mean, he just got engaged, so he won that relationship. I mean, everything he's doing is with the utmost respect and character, and I'm super excited for him to be there.
Did I hear that correctly? A 4.4 is the projected 40? Is that what you just said?
It'll be 4.45, 4.46. I mean, it'll be right there. I mean, the dude can scoot. And we had some we didn't run any of them, but we had opportunities to scheme up some run fakes for him in both the field goal and the punt game that in practice looked amazing.
Okay, you have our attention now. We know you're with them for 1 year only. Did you have a chance to go back to the tape prior to when you were at New Mexico to see if they had used him for any kind of trickery?
So there's one fake as a field goal that worked out pretty well. I think it was the beginning of 23 or end of 22. So go ahead and dig that up from the archives. But, I mean, he's a great athlete. I mean, obviously he was a soccer player growing up, probably now soccer kicking and football kicking is significantly different, but the power probably comes from that. And then he's strong in the weight room. I mean, he's a 500-pound squat guy. I mean, he can do all those things. We didn't treat our specialists any different than the rest of our football team. If we were power cleaning, they were power cleaning. If we were squatting, they were squatting. And Tyler was able to compete with our DBs and wide receivers and was proud of that fact.
That's awesome. Coach, can you take us? I've only read about it, the 62-yarder that he hit, which I believe was a school record. Can you take us in? A lot of Ravens fans probably haven't watched a lot of Arizona football. What were kind of the circumstances? What was going on the sideline? Can you take us in and maybe tell us the story behind that kick?
Well, you know, it's funny. I mean, I said it earlier in the podcast. When we get to the 50-yard line, I flip over to the offensive side and say, Coach B, on second down, third down, depending on the situation, hey, you got 2 downs, or we can kick this thing if you want. I mean, we're in range. And he would look at me sometimes and be like, dude, they're going to kick it from your own 60 or 42-yard line. I said, I know, Coach. It's silly. But, I mean, I trust him. And so against, I think it was West Virginia, we had the opportunity. We were sitting at the 48-yard line. I said, hey, he can make it. Let's let him out there. So we sent him out there, and he crushed it. I mean, it was outstanding. And it created a lot of momentum in our stadium. I mean, a 62-yard field goal is going to create momentum. It's just fun to see. And so they've got an opportunity to put the ball down and tell him to kick it, and he's going to put it through the pipes.
Now, I read that he hit from 62, but it could have been from 67. Is that true?
No, it might have been from 75. I mean, he crushed that ball. It was halfway up the goalpost when it went through. And then we did stuff in practice all the time where we'd start out practice and with PAT field goal, and it would be good on good, and we'd put him 71, 72 yards, and he'd make them routinely. And I say that routinely, and that sounds silly, but wherever we put the ball down, he would make it, and I'd go up to him and be like, hey, are you sore today? What are you feeling? He's like, Coach, just put the ball down. Doesn't matter. So I'm like, okay. And that was the times where you have to protect Tyler from Tyler.
Sure. Harbaugh just spoke within the last week or so just about getting his first look at him in person. But then he was like, no. I got my first chance to hear the ball come off of his leg, right? And so
that thud is something miraculous. I mean, it is awesome. I apologize for the sun. I'm trying to get it so you guys get me in the screen.
No, the fact that you're doing this interview mid-recruiting effort this is one of the I'm absolutely loving this. Thank you for making some time for us, and thank you for
absolutely. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Tyler, and I'm so excited to watch his future in this league. The thud that comes off his foot when he hits that ball, it's different. I mean, I've been around a lot of good kickers. I was around a Lou Groza winner. I was around a consensus All-American in 2003 in New Mexico, and John Sullivan, Matt Ariza, the punter for Kansas City. I mean, all those guys, there's certain things that when they snap that ball, you hear it, and Tyler's probably the best I've been around.
You were directly responsible in Ariza's recruiting effort, right?
I was. So I was at San Diego State when we started recruiting him, and then I got the job at Arizona State right when we signed him. So I didn't actually get to coach him in college. Doug Deacon, who's the special teams coordinator at Oklahoma now, got the luxury of doing that. But I knew Matt when he was in high school, and it was different then.
Gotcha. I know Sarah followed up on the 18 of 23 and that great context that you provided with the new kicking unit that he was essentially mentoring in what became his final season at Arizona. I also read that 3 of the 5 misses, Coach, were from 50 plus. Do you know off the top of your head if that's correct?
That is correct. And not only that, 2 of the 5, 2 of those that were missed beyond 50, one of them was laying flat on the ground that he almost made. And then the second one was completely sideways. So 2 of the 3 weren't his fault. He missed one that he would like to have back, but the other 2, it was him coming to the sideline, and I'm getting frustrated with the holder, which you got to be careful with those guys. I mean, the holding is the most unrewarding. People have no idea how difficult that job is for those guys to do it, especially when you have a true freshman who's your starting punter at the same time doing it. And I'm getting after Mike. I'm like, hey, man, that ball was right in your hands. You got to put that thing down and just give him a chance. Right. And he's saying, I know. And I'm like, no, I know is not good enough. Like, that's not okay. And Tyler's like, Coach, I'll get him. So I just let Tyler take him away. And because Tyler knew he's the one that's going to have to hold the next opportunity. I'm not out there holding. So Tyler did a good job of being the psychologist. And every time he'd come off a miss, Michael would do a great job. And that was due to Tyler. I mean, Tyler keeping him in the game and keeping him where his head really was, in the right position to make Tyler the best he could be. And then our snapper had a couple of miscues. But I can't tell you how on that sideline, when you get in those moments, especially when the game is at risk and he was able to control that. I mean, it's fabulous for a young guy. I mean, for a college guy, it's unbelievable, because when you get in the opportunity to win a Lou Groza or set the all-time career percentage field goal mark, somebody else screws it up and you act like it's no big deal. And I truly believe in his heart, he really didn't care about those. I mean, it wasn't, he goes, Coach, I just want to win. I just want to do the best I can for this football team. And that gives me other opportunities, then great. If it doesn't, then great. God's got a plan for me and I'm going to follow that plan.
I love the faith. Now, the story out here in Baltimore is that they sent out their kicking coach, Randy Brown, to go and meet with all the, top kickers across the country. He came back, told Ravens GM Eric DeCosta, you have to get me Tyler Loop. That's like, I need him. We want him. That's who we want. And so knowing that about Randy Brown, it's maybe a little bit surprising that Tyler Loop wasn't the first kicker taken. Were you surprised that he wasn't the first guy to go?
That position is so tricky. I mean, for the Patriots to take one before, I don't remember, and this I could be wrong, so Tyler might have to correct me on this one, but I don't remember New England coming and working him out personally. I know Baltimore. I know Randy did, and I mean, I spoke with him. And it's funny because Tyler is very reserved. I mean, he's very confident in his abilities, but how'd you do, Tyler? It's fine. I mean, that's always the response. I did okay. After the Raven workout, probably the most, I don't know if the word is excited or confident he was in his workout, but he was like, Coach, it was great. It was outstanding. So I had a feeling that I knew Randy was going to be happy with what they did, but I just had a feeling that that's probably where Tyler would end up, because he was glowing after that. And Tyler never glows about all that stuff. It's always like, the coach, they did a good job and all those things. So that was really fun to experience, because that's not his personality.
Coach, last one for me. I got to think it's a proud Papa Bear moment when you're looking at your guy right here going pen to paper, what that means for the program, what that means for somebody who kicked for you and whatnot. I got to believe that this is why you do it at the end of the day, right?
Oh, you know what? I mean, we do it exactly. This is why we do it. I mean, you see all these kids out here. We get to help them in a very critical time in their life, 18 to 23 years old, where they think they're invincible and they're not. But you have to you want them to think that way, but you have to kind of mentor them to make sure that they protect themselves. Tyler did everything right. Off the field, on the field. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Tyler Loop, who he is as a person and what he was able to do for our football team and for our program and for the community of Tucson. And to see him sign that and that smile on his face, I know he's going to have success. I know he's going to live in Baltimore for a long time. It's a great organization to be a part of. Coach Harbaugh is one of the best, if not the best, coaches to ever coach in that league. So it couldn't be a better situation for him. He's, like I said, newly engaged, so he's going to start a family completely other side of the town. He's from Dallas, Texas originally. So, I mean, you guys are getting a tremendous person and an outstanding football player. I mean, that speaks for itself. Football is football. Football is going to end when football ends. But the other stuff that he's going to do for that organization is top notch.
Yeah, I love your passion for him. Last question for me, Coach. Is there a nickname that kind of became known for Tyler? I'm hearing people here starting to say, can we call him, like, can the nickname be Fruit? For Fruit Loop, we're seeing Whoop Loop. Like, was there any sort of nickname that got going down there in Arizona?
When he would make big kicks like that, you would just hear the whole stadium Loop. I mean, it sounded like they were booing him. So yeah. I'm like, get used to that nonsense. But Fruit Loop, I'm sure he would want to stay away from that one. But I'll tell you what, he won't care what you call him as he's putting those balls through the pipes. That won't matter to him. I would hope it wouldn't be Fruit Loop, but let's, I don't know, keep the loop thing going, because it was pretty cool in our stadium when you hear 50,000 people screaming that in a deep tone after he made a 62-yarder, and they went nuts. I'm super excited for him, and Sarah and Bobby, I appreciate you guys having me on. The representation that I'm telling you, get a chance to know the young man because he will make your life better.
We'll try and do exactly that. We're trying to track him down, Coach, and we know you probably got plenty to track down right now as you're literally in the middle of a recruiting event. So, hey, congratulations on the promotion to defensive coordinator. We wish you and your team the best moving forward, and I'm sure we'll have to do it again if Tyler's career ends up starting to blossom like I know you believe it will. So thank you again.
I'd love to. Anything I can do for you guys to help, anytime you want to have me on, talk about Tyler, please. And I'm going to text him right now and tell him he better get on with Bobby and Sarah because I just got done. So I better not be avoiding y'all.
I love it.
Now we're talking. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Bear down.
Absolutely. And Jeff as well, who made this happen behind the scenes within the athletics department. I know he's in the waiting room right now. Thank you, Jeff, for coordinating that.
Yes.
That is Danny Gonzales, the defensive coordinator right now for Arizona football. He spent last year as the special teams coordinator and linebackers coach for Arizona, which meant he worked very closely with Tyler Loop. And Sarah, I think we got the context that we wanted.
Listen, I already knew you're going to get on a former coach who obviously blossomed in your program. You know that they're going to be amped for him. But like after that, like, I don't know that I've ever been more amped for a kicker. I've never been more amped for a 6th-round draft pick. And you can see why he's a coach, right? This is what coaches do. They amp you up. They get you excited. They get you to like attack the day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. They know the game, but they're also inspirers and they're encouragers, and they just get the blood flowing in the morning. And so I hope he's right. I love the context of those missed field goals, Bobby. We knew about the strong leg. The 83.3 field goal percentage rate, like it's obviously very good. It's the best in Arizona history. But you're also like, oh, well, Justin Tucker, this isn't fair. But the guy you're replacing had an 89.1 career field goal rate, which is the best in NFL history, but it's a good 6% under. So to hear that 3 of the misses came from 50 plus and 2 of those 3 were not his fault and he was chewing out his holder and all that kind of stuff, it just lets you know it's like as
well,
good
he wasn't
as
chewing out his holder though.
Well, he tried to until Tyler stopped him.
Oh, sorry. Coach was, yes.
Coach was, yeah, coach was. And so to hear that field goal percentage could even be higher, and he's talking about routinely hitting it from 70, and he's like, oh yeah, that 62-yarder could have been from further. I had read 67. He wanted to go to 70 again. And then he talks about him kicking in the wind and a basic, he's saying hurricane in Florida. Maybe all of it might be a little bit strong, maybe a little facetious to amp up his guy, but it's hard not to be excited after just listening to him. That's what coaches do.
Yeah. I think the 2 pieces of context that we walked away with here, right, was feeling a lot better about, yes, something that was a downward spiral for him, which was and when I say spiral, that's probably hyperbolic. He went from literally 100%. I think it was 12 for 12 his first season after his red shirt. And from there, it just decreasingly went south on him field goal percentage wise. But to get that context, the minutia that maybe you won't see or hear about unless you literally go to the source of somebody who was involved in these recruiting efforts, in the coaching and development process of what we know is a system. What has Justin always said over the years? It's the system. He's a product of the system. Well, Tyler's system was new and inexperienced. And the fact that he handled that with the type of class that apparently he did, I think says a lot about him. And ultimately it tells you a lot about the numbers that went into his final season at Arizona. So that was awesome. Appreciate Coach Gonzales for his time and the Arizona athletic staff for setting that up. Pretty cool.
And Bobby, I'm here for the loop after winning or succeeding on a field goal. Baltimore's used to that, right? Did it with Todd Heap, did it with Ed Reed. And that Fruit Loop thing, you want to know where I heard that? I was on 105.7 The Fan this morning, and those guys were the ones who were saying that where Fruit Loop was coming from. So I loved Coach's response to that. He's like, he probably would appreciate it if you steered away from that. I got you. We'll stick with loop after every field goal made.
That's hysterical because that's the first I've heard of it. I've seen like the Loop Troop, Looper Trooper.
Okay.
A number of other ones, but Yeah, Fruit Loop was the first one. We'll see which one sticks. You know, it's going to be something. It's the Loop. Loop is, you can have some fun with Loop. I think we're gonna have some fun with that.
Yeah.
Thank you to Coach Gonzales, guys. Thanks for being so engaged and interested in that conversation. And that now brings us to Super Chats. Asmodeus got us started earlier on in the show, and he wrote, does the removal of talent make, in parentheses, Bobby's fave quarterback, just kidding,
but
Rodgers. So does the remover of talent make Rodgers less likely to come to Pittsburgh with a bunch of laughy emojis? I think that's his only destination that's left on the table.
That's the only one. Yes. Yes. Hey, I am actually interested in this. He's joking, but somewhat serious. I would love one day to get Bobby Trossett's favorite, not like who you think is the best, favorite, like top active quarterbacks. Like top 10. I would love to have that one day. And I would like to know where Aaron Rodgers ranks in that.
Favorite active quarterbacks?
Yeah.
But do you mean by personality, by play style, by
favorite?
resume?
Who's your favorite? Who you find yourself rooting for? I bet Joe Flacco's up there.
Oh, Joe's definitely up there.
Yeah.
Aaron is obviously up there. Lamar, of course, is up there.
Yeah.
Who else do I like off the top of my head? I really like Derek Carr, but his career just hasn't panned out. He's a man of faith. I like Derek. Derek literally gives like his own sermons in his church. I love Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
How can you not love Jaden Daniels? That's pure authenticity with what he's done. He's unflappable.
All right, so just rank those guys for me. Who's number one?
You know me. I don't do rankings when it comes to quarterbacks because that seems very.
That's what I'm here for. It's to push you to do these things.
I know you are.
Your favorite's not best.
Look, I don't know if I have a favorite, to be honest with you. But if I had to pick of the names that I just gave you, it's probably Kirk, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think Kirk is
Kirk wasn't even really on my radar until I watched Quarterbacks on Netflix.
Yes.
And he is really likable. And to be honest, this might sound bad because he's definitely an enemy, but that's what these shows do to you. It made me like Patrick Mahomes a little bit more too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Jeremiah
just seems like there's so much drama around him, including in his family, and he just stays like this, you know.
For sure.
He stays like this. So.
Jeremiah definitely just threw a name in there that would be in my top 10. That's Stafford. I think Stafford has withstood the test of time, you know, was incredibly loyal to Detroit, wins the Super Bowl with Sean McVay and the Rams. He's still around. He's a gunslinger, family man, big Stafford guy. But you're right. The quarterback special there on Netflix definitely gave you like a new appreciation for who these guys are. I remember Marcus Mariota feeling similar about him during that episode. But
that's what these do. They make the quarterbacks more human, right? And so, like, if you get that human connection, but you don't have it to others, and I'm sure that's why we all, love Lamar Jackson. It's because A, he's for the team that you're covering and that you worked for. B, he's like this MVP that you're just rooting for to break through in the playoffs and into the Super Bowl. And then C, there's a human connection to him. Like, I love his personality, you know? So, you know, he's easily number one for me right now. But because there was a human connection with Joe Flacco, we're just talking about favorites, right? Like people that you find yourself rooting for, like Joe is up there. So when you watch these shows, it just gives you a human connection that you don't have with so many other football players.
Drew Brees, I think, would fit that category. He's not active, but he would. And by the way, there is a little bit of a personal touch when it comes to Kirk because, so you know, a lot of my family's down in Orlando. He has a place down there. His parents have a place down there. I think it's on like the Conway chain, a bunch of lakes down there in Orlando. And my cousins live right around the corner. And Kirk's son goes to school maybe goes to the same church school as my cousin's son. So they've just had interactions. And it's first class all the way.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thanks, Asmodeus. Yeah. Evan Burstein, for you.
He says, for me, the head scratcher here is why the Steelers didn't make this trade before this season's draft to impact this season's roster. I'm sure from a Pittsburgh point of view, they would have liked that, but I don't think Dallas would have done it. It sounded to me that they were trying to get, we could ask Coach about this, but it's off topic. The Arizona wide receiver whose name is escaping me, but he went number 8 and didn't fall to number 12. And I think that Dallas was eyeing him. And if they were able to get him, then I don't think they would have traded for Pittsburgh. So sometimes it's not just like, yeah, for Pittsburgh, it would have been ideal, but what about all the other teams out there? Maybe they wanted to see what they could do in the draft.
Tetaroa McMillan is who you're referring to, by the way, the Arizona wide receiver that went top 10. Dreams, who's been a member with us for 2 months, and that means he gets to cash in on his monthly channel membership perk. So appreciate you, Queon. It's a quote here, and the Ravens look to send out Tyler. Oh, this is probably maybe this is Jerry Sandusky or Mike Tirico on the mic or whoever's the broadcaster at the time. Maybe this is what's happening. I don't know. I'm reading it in real time. Quote, and the Ravens look to send out Tyler Loop for a 70-yard field goal. Stout with the hold. The kick is up, and it's good. A new NFL record set by another Ravens kicker. Maybe preseason. Oh, the end. That's the end of the quote. I try to put on my play-by-play voice.
Yeah. He forgot the close quote there.
Right, can I give you my legit play-by-play broadcaster voice for the quote and try it over again now that I know it's that?
Can you? Yes, please do. I would like to hear this.
How I would do it if I was in Jerry Sandusky's seat. How about that? Okay. Jerry with a G. Here we go.
Yeah, he just cleared his throat.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna go Mike a little bit away. 3, 2, and 1. And the Ravens look to send out Tyler Loop for a 70-yard field goal. Here comes the snap. Stout with the hold. The kick is up, and he banged it. He banged it home. The bank goes wild. I miss those days, man. I love play-by-play so much.
Oh, man, you need the adrenaline behind it for it to really go to another level, you know? Yeah. So, all right.
And Rave Kingdom, GG. Now I'm definitely calling him Fruit Loop. Hashtag.
Oh, shoot.
See what you've done?
Fruit Loop after misses?
Look at what you've done.
Sorry. I didn't do it. Well, I guess I did.
Yes, you did.
But what if I just having the fan put it in my mind this morning?
Oh, goodness. Was it Jeremy that brought it up? Tell me it was Jeremy.
You know what? I think it was Jeremy.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be Jeremy.
Jeremy Kahn.
Because he's sort of the comedian side of their show.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of their stuff. Rob
Rob's
and
great.
And Jeremy. Yeah.
Yeah, Rob's the one that always books me. So, really appreciate him. He's always, I feel like I go on there a couple times a month via Rob. So
Rob is one of those Baltimorean OGs. Love that guy.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're fully caught up on super chats. That brings us to quick hits. Are we pushing what we thought we might push?
Yeah, we only got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Why don't we just tease it? Why don't you just show the slide and we'll tease it for tomorrow? How about that?
Yeah.
Wait, what's this?
Well,
I didn't see this one.
Well, just to be clear, you want to tease what we were originally going to potentially package after Coach Gonzales?
Never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
Sorry. I just thought you meant like, let's get to quick hits. I thought that's what that meant. But here is just so that we're keeping up with potential undrafted rookies and whatnot, especially because this is somebody that Emery Hunt has a ton of information on. It's Keon Martin. Played his college football at Louisiana. He's a corner. Apparently, according to Aaron Wilson's reporting, he's always on top of this. Had a successful rookie minicamp, and he's been signed. So
by the Ravens.
By the Ravens. Yep. So he will compete. Yeah, he will compete this offseason on that 90-man roster and try to be, one of the surprise, sort of unlikely undrafted rookies. It's it's funny. There was once a time where you feel pretty confident that at least one undrafted rookie had a darn good chance of making this roster. And when it comes to the 53, given the competition, boy, it's might be as stiff as ever.
This is going to be an uphill climb, maybe a cliff that he's got to climb.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, if an undrafted guy is going to, but maybe Martin can make the practice squad or something like that. But for sure, like the defensive line, interior defensive line is a spot, or just because there's a rich history and inside linebacker. And I was thinking of you because the Ravens put out a highlight reel of Teddy Buchanan. Ooh. Were you just salivating over that? Did you see it?
It was in the Discord. I saw some chatter about it in the Discord. I haven't watched it on its own.
I was like, oh,
how'd he look?
Well, it's just drills. But I saw somebody else somebody said, "Oh, look at him abusing those sleds," and I was like, "Is that Bobby? Is that a Bobby Burner account?"
Bobby Burner. Was he looking fluid though? Was he?
He was looking good. He looks athletic. He just, and that's what is the scouting report on him, right? Is that he's athletic, and he was abusing those sleds for sure.
Beautiful.
So I mean, it's just drills, but I thought for sure you would love it.
I do. I absolutely do. You already know that.
Just like the clip I showed you of my son Gardner yesterday.
That probably fired me up more. Matter of fact, that was probably more exciting, to be honest with you.
I'm trying to think if we should play that because he's got a hat on. You can't really see him or anything. I might move it over to this computer and share it.
Gardy Party, for those of you who
I hate
don't
that
know.
you call him Gardy Party, but it kind of fits his personality. He is a social butterfly. My oldest
He's
is
a great kid. 15, Sarah's oldest. Had a chance to meet him for the second time during our summit last month, and you guys live on a golf course, so I was kind of making little comments all throughout the weekend just to receive a bunch of videos yesterday of him sinking a putt, and then celebrating like Rory McIlroy just won the frickin' Masters, and it fired me up.
He was
because maybe, just maybe,
it up a little bit.
Maybe, just maybe,
here we go.
Gardner, here he is. Should I put on my Jim Nantz? All right, how about this? Why don't we show off the sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Let's rewind it.
How about we show off the play-by-play versatility? Because while I just gave you like a boisterous call, now I got to go Jim Nantz. Now I got to go low.
And you got to go live.
Right. Okay.
So right, wait, do you want to set it up before I have him swinging?
I was going to say, let's set the scene here. We're in Columbus.
He's taller than me now. Can you tell? He's taller than me.
Yes.
And
yes.
You know, I'm 5'10". I think he's coming up on 5'11" soon. He's shooting up right now. Look, those pants I bought him. Look at those golf pants. You see how they're rising up on him? I bought him like a year ago. He is just growing like a weed. I can't keep up with him.
I'm telling you, you two have such a similar build.
Yeah, he's definitely the male version of me.
For sure.
He's got all my genes.
And I knew that when we first met several summers ago. And then when I saw him again, I knew he had gone through a growth spurt. I wasn't sure it was to this extent. He's towering over my sorry, you know what. So anyway, I think golf.
And according to you, long and skinny is a good golf build. I did not know this. Okay.
For sure. He's just lean. He's just very lean.
Yeah.
He's got that wingspan, you know, he's just rangy. I just get the sense that if he can get this swing down, he's going to be able to hit it a country mile. So with that, let's cut to New Albany, the country club we go. Right. And on to the 10th hole at the practice green is Gardner Ellison, who sets up a 15-footer. It's breaking right to left, and all of a sudden cresting right into the hole for Gardner Ellison, who wins Augusta. His first time in his debut at Augusta National is a win. It's Gardner Ellison bursting onto the golf scene.
And for those that don't know, he literally has only been playing for like a couple weeks. So.
And what did I text you back when I just got this clip?
What did you text me back? You wanted to see the celebration.
I said, how dare they cut off the celebration?
And there's definitely more to that. He got a little bit crazy, but he's just hanging out with his friends. So
it's awesome. Yeah. Shout out Gardy with some major play-by-play love and a cameo after a 15-foot make.
So Warren Sharp, a couple days ago, we had a tweet or a long thread of him that we kind of, did a whole topic around. But just this one tweet here today, quick hits. He says, most clutch QBs when you got to have it. Okay, and this is trailing in the last 5 minutes since 2020, which I believe is when Joe Burrow came into the league. Okay. Most clutch QBs trailing in the final 5 minutes. Number 1 is Joe Burrow. Number 2 is Josh Allen. And number 3 is Lamar Jackson. 4 is Tom Brady. 5 is Patrick Mahomes. So just wanted to put out there that Lamar doesn't get his clutch love quite enough. Need to recognize that he can come from behind. He's third best since 2020. You're down 5 minutes to go.
Showed me all I needed to see and know. And that gotta have it moment back in January in Buffalo. So it's a great list to be on. Decent company. How about Flacco cracking the top 10 too?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Some of the OGs, right? Gino's an OG at this point. Joe is certainly. Stafford is. But a great list to be on. And how about the AFC North involvement there from Lamar and Burrow? And really just the amount of AFC quarterbacks on this list.
Yeah.
no shortage of AFC quarterbacks, which is no surprise because
the top 5 is all AFC.
Literally.
Yeah.
Top 5.
Yeah.
Aside from, and then in the top 10.
I mean, I'm thinking of Tom
Stafford.
Brady as a Patriot, but I guess in 2020 on, he'd be more of a Tampa Bay Buck.
Let's see. He went in, gosh, now it's all such a blur. Didn't he go in like 22 or something like that? Anyway, one more quick hit before we jump here, and it's from Keaton, and you brought this one in.
Well, he had tweeted yesterday that he just put 22.4 and then puts a yawning emoji. My guess is that's where he was clocked miles per hour. Okay.
Oh,
that's
okay.
just my guess. Okay. So he's just yawning as if 22.4 is just another day at work. And I wanted to compare that. The highest he's ever been clocked in a game was in that Seattle game where he took a handoff from Lamar Jackson, shot right between the guard and tackle, went all the way for a touchdown. He reached basically 21 miles per hour, is 20.99. So coming off that injury, he's just in practice, probably not pushing it all the way, but he's regaining that speed. 22.4 miles per hour is what I'm assuming what that tweet meant. And I love to hear it. And he told us when he was on with us draft night that he's 100% back, all the way back.
He also
Embarrassment of riches at running back, Bobby.
No doubt. And at tight end and littered throughout this offense. But that kind of sounds movie-like to me, doesn't it? Movie-like. That was his quote. It's going to be a movie.
Movie-like, that's right.
Told us that. Draft weekend. Thanks to Keaton again for coming on. Dion Coleman and Lisa Mason, thank you both for being our patrons. This is your monthly shout-out. We appreciate you guys for being part of the Vault's Patreon community. If you are interested out there in doing the same, just visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. You can also become a channel member today on the YouTube side of things by clicking on the link that we have right now as a pinned comment in the live chat. What else? We want more feedback as much as we possibly can before we pass it along and relay it to our design team for our merch line that we're working on. So if you could, please go to the community post. And why don't I just screen share this, Sarah, on our way out here, just so that we want to compile as much of a representation of what our audience feels like is, so that's accurate and that we can send that information back to the powers that be so we can ultimately get this merch line off the ground. And right now, if you go to our community post page, you'll find, let me make sure I pull this up correctly. I did not. Stand by. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then let's do this. Here it is.
We're getting the play-by-play on that.
That's just because I can't talk and do it at the same time.
That's me too. I do the same thing.
Yeah. Basically, we have almost 300 votes right now. Again, t-shirts,
What's winning? Do we know?
Honestly, I don't. If you could look for me, that'd be great because I don't think it shows right now for whatever reason. But just know that while these are 4 options, the t-shirt, the sweatshirt, which is a hoodie, the crew neck without the hood, and the tank top, all 4 of these things eventually might be available to you on our merch line. We're just trying to figure out what the priority is right now to get us off the ground, because there's a lot of logistical details that we have to finalize before we do this. So hit us with your first preference of those 4 options. Please vote. And please also leave some feedback. Let's see what some of this feedback is. I actually haven't looked yet. Neil says definitely a coffee mug. Nate says physical stickers would be huge. Frank says t-shirt, hoodie, and hat should be the top 3. Lewis says beanie for sure and either t-shirt or sweatshirt. Dozy Dope says hoodies, man. We're going to be bundled up in our vault gear at the bank, which is that fires me up, Dozy. That fires me up. Flo knows. Sarah, can you imagine getting some content of people that are sending us group photos of Vault merch walking around the bank on opening day?
Oh, I would love that.
Wouldn't that hit different? Like, come on. We need that. Let's see. What else do we have here?
I've got the results, by the way, when you're ready.
Oh, yeah. Hit us with it.
Okay. 53%, just a good old-fashioned t-shirt. Okay. 37% sweatshirt, hoodie. Then 5% crew neck. Then, sadly, just because I wanted to wear it when I work out. Tank top comes in at 4%. So the top two has definitely got to be a t-shirt and hoodie, Bobby.
Okay.
I might be pushing the tank top agenda.
Unless our 1,900 plus concurrents right now have something to say about it, and we'll sway this poll in a different direction. So go vote. Make sure your voice is heard, and we will relay this feedback off to our design team and hopefully have the Vault merch line in place by the start of this upcoming season. That's what we have going on. Go check it out. Community post YouTube. And one more super chat came in on our way out. Deshaun, who just became a channel member yesterday, says, does the sweatshirt have a hood or not? This is important info for real, though. Prefer no hood.
No, that's
so go
the
vote
thing.
the crew neck.
Is the hoodie is winning at 37%, crew neck at 5%.
So Deshaun, go vote. Go place your vote for crew neck if that's where you're at. But again, we hope to have at some point here all options and many more. If this thing's used, Sarah, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Asmodeus checking in as well, who he has been a member for 2 months. Appreciate you, Richard. Let you take this one.
He says, can we get Voltron designs that look like Voltron's TV show? See, now this is nice. This would have to be the second iteration because right now we're starting with just the Vault logo or the font that we have, the Vault that you see on really on YouTube. If you go up to the top of our page, you can see the Vault. And we got a couple with that kind of Vault, spinning wheel. That's what's already been made. But to have like actual Voltrons, that's going to have to be next level. And we're going to need to get some designers to do that.
Yeah, but definitely that's absolutely something that I think we would envision if Voltrons continues to take off the way that it appears to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already got over 100 channel members that are fancying themselves as Voltrons, and everybody else probably fancies themselves as Voltrons too, regardless of whether or not you're signed up for membership. So
yeah.
Appreciate you guys. Awesome show. Thank you so much to the Arizona Athletics Department. My guy, Jeff, who coordinated this interview for us today with Coach Danny Gonzales. We appreciate his time. Literally, you talk about generosity. He's at a recruiting event and he turns the camera around and first of all, wherever he is right now, looked like some Denver, Colorado sun right there. Isn't it true that Colorado, I think Tori told me this recently, gets over 300 days of sunlight per year? Is that true?
Colorado, the weather is so interesting there because yes, you get a lot of snow, but you get a ton of sun. It's
incredible.
It's crazy. It's what I've told you. I remember in the springtime, right? So here, when you came and visited me in Columbus, it was raining like nonstop. And that was almost how it was all of April. In Colorado, it was like almost like clockwork from like 3 o'clock to like 5:30, it was raining. And then all of a sudden it was done. And it was the same thing. We'd have these huge snowstorms. And the next day the sun is out shining bright. They call it colorful Colorado. It's just a beautiful, beautiful state.
Yes. That one thing I will not do though is go again in April because you have to bring 3 different climate clothes straight up.
No, it's true. Yeah.
It's absurd.
By the way, we got a lot of people saying they're artists. If you guys want to send us some Voltron stuff, it's going to be used. You got to be able to sign it and say we can use it, all that kind of stuff. But if you want to design something and shoot it our way, that's fine. But right now we're going with what we've been using on our show, and that'll be the start. But this will not this poll that we've been talking about. It's just a start. We want to know what to start with.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. You guys know how to get us. BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com.
85%. Is what? I don't even know what his name is. What's the one that just came in with he's got the fist bump?
I don't know. He's been barking at me all day. He's been barking at me all day about gosh knows what.
Oh, has he? Oh, well, wants, if he sends us a design, he wants 85%. We're good.
85%, huh?
We're good.
After getting after me for all kinds of racial comments all day long, now you want 85%?
I didn't know about that.
85%, huh? We're all set on that one. Put your arse in timeout. Like
Bobby's ticked.
Put your arse in timeout the way that I did with Thor early on, who was doing the same type of stuff.
Oh, I'll have to ask you about that later.
I put him in timeout rather than ban him. I guess
it comes up as banned. Just so
Sorry,
you know.
Mouthwrap. Apology. Oh, it did again?
Yeah, I'll send you the photo. The same thing happened with Mel. I think you banned him. I don't know that you meant to. I think you can unban people though.
Well, we need to do that because obviously Mel screws around, and he was deserving of what I thought was a timeout, and maybe I accidentally banned him because a lot of things happen quickly.
Yeah, it's right here. I took a picture of it because I saw it come out. It says Thor was banned.
That's so strange because
I do wish YouTube would give us more options.
Well, okay, so just to be clear, and then we got to jump here. When you click on the 3 dots right to the right of a comment here in the live chat.
Careful. Let's be careful. I don't want to accidentally ban anybody.
When you click on the 3 dots, I always click put user in timeout.
Oh,
I never click ban user and delete their comment. So hopefully the timeout will be temporary so that we can get Thor and Mel back in. If not, see you guys.
So you clicked on put user in timeout, which I think is a good tool to have because I don't want to ban people if like banning to me is like after you put them in timeout so many times or whatever. But it literally announced on here that he was banned even though you clicked on timeout, and I think the same thing happened to Mel. Yeah,
we got more to look at there because I don't know what's going on with that, and I definitely did not click ban on Mel. I know that for a fact. So
yeah,
but just know, I mean, the point is, if there's stuff that's going on that crosses a line in the chat. I mean, I feel like we essentially allow a filterless live chat. We let a lot go, but some things cross the line, and I felt like Mel did that day. I don't remember what it was, and I felt like Thor was kind of flirting with that line today. So
I didn't even see it. I didn't even.
You don't want to. You don't want to see it. It's all racial stuff. It's just it's so unnecessary. So anyway. Now fist bump saying y'all let too much slide, but he's a part of it. He's a part of it. It's like we let you slide, fist bump. That's
that's what he said. He said I should be banned if I'm keeping it 100.
Precisely. Now I like him actually. I like this guy now.
Now
Olio.
That comment just changed your mind.
Is it Olio or Olio? Is that his name? Is that what he's saying?
Olio? I don't know. No, that's gotta be. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh man! All right, everybody, we're jumping.
It says 1MA. Is that what his name is? 1MA. What does that mean?
He's playing with our minds. Look at him.
All right. All right. Well, hey, fun. Sounds like it was very lively in the chat today. I'm sorry I didn't catch most of it.
No, it's okay.
Or maybe I'm not sorry I didn't catch most of it.
Don't be sorry. Yeah.
I've been trying to be more focused on what you're saying and what our people are saying, and I think I interrupt you less when I do that. Like get into what you're, you know what I mean, saying.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Hey, I can. The chat can be very distracting.
Yeah.
People are saying we need a moderator. Maybe that's the evolution of the channel at some point down the line. So. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging with us on this Wednesday. We will have. By the way, I'll just say this as a tease. Coach Gonzales, as thrilled as we were to have him on, was not the original plan at 12:30. We had to do some shuffling around earlier today. And so when I teased what I said yesterday about that standout active head coach, it's not Coach Gonzales. that's basically what I'm saying. But my gosh, that does not discount for the slightest what we got out of Coach Gonzales today. So we want to thank him.
That was a great interview.
And we hope that the original plan at 12:30 today will be pushed to later this week. If not, next week. We'll see.
All right.
All right, everybody. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Wednesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. Please like the video on your way out, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be sure to join us in under 23 hours from right now when we rejoin you for a Thursday show. We appreciate you guys. And as always, thanks for spending some time with us here inside the vault. We'll talk.